Johnny Yakum, we talked.
Oh, John,
Yeah.
yeah. He was, yeah, well, see, my problem was my father died when I was only about 8 years old.
Sorry.
Then, I was born in, let's see, 1929. Father died in 1938.
Mhm.
1946, I was only 16 years old. I signed a professional contract. I had 2 years of high school left.
Oh, wow.
I had 2 more years of high
Well,
school.
where was this, in Ohio?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah.
Cincinnati's my hometown. And I signed with the Reds, Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year I went to spring training and.
Remember who signed you? David, you remember who Scott was?
Oh, God, I can't remember. I can't remember. Gotta be, well, I'll tell you, the guy that signed me was Warren Giles.
No kidding.
Yeah, Warren Giles was my was the general manager at that time. And says 17 years old at the time. I thought I was still 16. I know I was 17 when the season started. This was like in February of 1946.
Mm-hmm. So you were still in high school. Must have been quite the
Well,
hot shot.
no, well, no, not really. And I pitched the first year. I pitched at Middletown, Ohio, in the Ohio State League,
Mm-hmm.
and I was probably the wildest guy, the fastest guy in the league, but also the wildest guy in the league. And back in those days, relief pitching was not an art. Relief pitching was for guys that were either over the hill or the game was won or lost big.
Yeah.
That's what relief pitching was then. In fact, when I pitched in the Pony League, one of the top relief pitchers ever was the guy that pitched for it was Bradford.
Right face.
Right face, right. That's when it started to be an art after that time. But what had happened to me was I was still a young guy and still growing, and they never counted the number of pitches in those days.
Yeah.
They said, here, you're in there for 9 innings, and you pitched, and if you threw 200 pitches, you threw, and you pitched every 4th day then. Now they talk about these guys, if they pitch every 4th day, like in the series,
Right.
it's quite an oddity, but back then it was common. It was very ordinary then. Like when, I think if you remember Lou Burdett and Warren Spahn, when they pitched every 4th day in the series there. They did it all year long. It was, but now these guys they can last longer.
So you signed by the Reds and played in Middleton, Ohio.
Middletown, Ohio, my first year, and I think they were. I think it was the last place club. I think I won 9 and lost 12. You'd have to get. Do you have a Spalding guide?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I have to look that up. Yeah.
Do you have it where I could?
Not here.
Okay, but I'd like to borrow it someday.
Sure.
I'd like to take it home.
Yeah.
But I pitched there my first year. Then the second year, I went to Tyler, Texas. I was down in spring training with Columbia, and they sent me to Tyler. I got to write up in there about that. And the guy we had, you remember a guy? In fact, he managed in the Pony League. I think he managed Eddie Lyons. You remember Eddie Lyons? Eddie Lyons was a big bonus pitcher with the Reds. He and I were the only 2 Yankee guys on this team. And we had a guy by the name of, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was a bullpen catcher with Detroit during the Warriors.
Russ Kearns?
No. I'll think of it. Because it's in the book here. Anyway, we were so scared of this guy. A pitcher had a grand slam home run off of Eddie Lyons. This guy charged him, and Eddie had to take the bat to protect himself. Next week he went someplace and I went to Lockport.
Yeah.
And Lockport, that's the best year I had in baseball. In 47 with Lockport. And then I had a girlfriend that was keeping this stuff for me. That my first year I got a lot of write-ups. Middleton. In 47, I kept myself, and then after that, thing I kept was here locally, but not too much. Never did that much with Jamestown, really. I mean, I didn't pitch that. I pitched some of 48 and 49 with.
How did you get from Lockport? How'd you get down?
John
to
Yocum bought my contract.
So
Yeah,
you were up in
I was with the Reds.
Reds?
And I had a good year in 40. Then in 48, I went to where was it? I went to Sunbury in the Interstate League, and they sent me to Lockport, and John Yocum bought my contract, and that's when he brought me in 48. Lockport won the pennant in 48.
Missouri?
And we ended up second.
Uh-huh.
But
Tell me a little bit about the 48 team. You made a few notes.
48 team.
Jerry, let's see. This may be some help. Here's a picture of the team itself. Jerry.
Yeah, that's me right here.
Yeah.
They got a picture of that up at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jerry Kleinsmith.
He's a bust. He's a real character, Jerry.
Is
Is he still alive or he died?
I don't know.
Jerry was our bus driver and like clubhouse boy and that, or clubhouse guy. Yeah, he was funny enough. He was really great. Everybody liked Jerry.
Oh, Jerry Klein. Yeah, Jerry Klein died. Yeah.
Jerry Klein.
Yeah, Jerry
Klein.
Yeah.
He died. Kleinsmith. I'll tell you a story. Maybe I won't take too long telling you about this,
Go
but
right
when he
ahead.
pitched this no-hit game.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was a one-hit game. And there's guys that'll tell you this. He was a hell of a pitcher. This guy hit a short pop fly to left center field for the opposing team. And the shortstop went back. And normally the ball will bounce further in I think it was Mike Kemp. I'm not sure if it was Kemp. Yeah, it's a shortstop. The ball bounced right into his club, and evidently the umpire or whoever didn't see it. He spun around, throw the ball back in the second, and the umpire wheels him out, and he got credit for a no-hit game. That's the truth. That was interesting. So
Was that a controversy after that game?
no, not at all. In fact, the people in the first base, I think we were on the third base side in the dugout. We saw it. But they were on the first base. They didn't see it. There was no question about it. It wasn't even brought up. You got a credit for a no-hit game. So when, like I say, in 1947, Jamestown probably had the best team they ever had. I beat Jamestown. They had a pitcher by the name of Max Corliss that year. I beat him 4-2 in a game here at the stadium. And then the same year, I pitched a game and I got beat 3-2. Guy hit a home run in the 8th or 9th inning, beat me 3-2. That was a hell of a team. Wybernack pitched for the Jamestown team. I don't know who else. They had a real good team. We had a decent team. We ended up like, looking today, we ended up like 61 and 62, and they were 87 and 39. Jamestown. That was the best ever. And we were, 61 and 62.
Who was your manager in Lockport?
Butch Sheffel. He was a good manager, real good manager. Then the next year, they won, guy there won 25 games. Remember that?
Yeah.
Christopher. I don't know whatever happened to him after that. This one year, he had a hell of a year. Everything went right for the guy, It just, so that was,
So Lockport 47, Lockport, you started in Lockport in 48? Or did you?
No, I started in 1948. I started with Sunbury in the Interstate League, and the opening game I'm pitching with Sunbury, and we're pitching in Jersey City. They had two great ball players. And I don't know if one of them spent some time in the majors. We had a guy by the name of Stan Jack, and I can't remember the other. But the game is 0-0. And in like the 5th or 6th inning, this guy hits a home run. And I get pissed off easy. I did. I'm watching him running around the base of the bat. I'm thinking, next guy up, I'm going to throw it by him. Next pitch, home run. That was the score, 2-1.
Oh my gosh.
And I learned, anybody ever hits a home run, don't try that. Throw it in the dirt, throw it in the dugout, don't throw it right down the middle. Right? But that was and then I don't know what happened. I was too young and inexperienced, and they sent me back to Lockport, and I pitched a couple games with Lockport, and I won one or lost one, 1-1 or something like that. And then Yakum brought me here, and I had one game. I had a couple of wins with. I know I got one night up in here in '48 where I pitched against Tarnell. Pitched a 3-hit game, and the catcher had all 3 hits.
That'll be darn.
Russ Kern was the catcher, and I had a lot of write-up. My first year, this girl was keeping us, and I had a lot of. And after that,
48, you had, let's see, the manager was Marv Olson?
Marv Olson, yeah, he was a good manager.
What kind of guy was he?
Tough.
Tough?
Tough. Yeah, he was tough.
In the sense of being a real disciplinarian, or?
No, I just think he was tough. I don't know.
And Yakum, did he get involved much in the day-to-day operation, or was he just?
You know, it's kind of hard to remember. You know who was also, remember, well, he's dead now, but the guy was a bowler. Marty
Haynes?
Marty was the businessman.
Was he really?
Yeah, Marty was a business. In fact, Marty was the first guy I met in Jamestown. Marty and the guy that had the gas station up at 3rd and Prendergast. Norm Robinson.
Norm Robinson.
Norm Robinson.
I'll be there.
And that's where we used to keep the bus there at the gas station.
Yeah.
That's where they keep the bus there. But Marty was a nice guy, and I don't know if John ever seemed to get that involved in those days. I saw him here 3 or 4 years ago one time. Real gentleman, nice person.
Well, we're hoping, Dave, that this book that is just about done on the history of professional baseball, which you're a part of, is hopefully will be ready for the opening of next season. Then get the Johnny Yakums and the Dave Werners and all the guys who played here all together. This would be kind of a fun.
Oh, that would be fun.
Back to Jerry Klein, you know.
Yeah, he was a character.
Now, he was the bus driver?
He was the bus driver. He kind of took care of everything for the ball club.
Yeah.
Driving the bus, you know, I mean, he was just a real character, Jerry. And we had this Marv was a real strict guy, but anyway, we used to screw it around a lot. And one night we had a game in Wellsville. Do you remember Bob DeKay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bob and I are still real. In fact, I'm going to see him tomorrow when I go up to Port. We still visit one. He lives in Ithaca. And so we had a game in Wellsville one night, and we had this bomb that you put on the spark plug, you know, it's at you. Well, then the game kept on going back, and we took it off a couple times because we knew Olson would get pissed off, you know, if we lost. So finally, we won the game, and Jerry Klein steps on the accelerator, and this goddamn thing starts whistling. Right? These guys are running out the doors, really, Olson and the rest of them. And Bob DeKay and I sitting in the bus laughing like hell. And Olson really was pissed. He got it, bastards.
How did Jerry take it?
Oh, he was, I can't remember, but he was a character. He was fun. Jerry was a nice guy. Yeah, he was a real fun guy.
Did you ever remember him singing a song to you guys? If you have a curveball that looked like a bomb, you know, apparently it's called, you kept it a secret from me. And it's funny because we interviewed Danny Carnavelli,
Mm-hmm.
who was here in '53, and I asked about Jerry Klein. And he says, well, Jerry always had the song, and he sang it verbatim.
Yeah,
If
I
you
don't
had-
remember. I read. That's a long time.
Oh, it is a long time ago. But ironically, we interviewed Al Taylor.
Yeah, I know.
Separately, you know, and Al said, when I mentioned Jerry Klein, he said, and then Jerry had this song, and then he sang it verbatim. And then I was at Jacobs Field, and I interviewed Phil Regan, who was the
Oh, really?
pitching coach, but he pitched here in '56.
Yeah, right.
Same thing.
How
Mentioned
about
Jerry
how
Klein.
about John Venable? Did you talk to John?
I talked to John here.
What did he say about it? He was about that time, wasn't
He
he?
was in '55.
Oh, okay.
And you all have stories on Jerry Klein.
Yeah. Well, Jerry was funny right now. We had one hotel we got thrown out of down in East Aurora when you went up on up Batavian State. Used to stay at East Aurora for I don't know why you'd stay there. We stayed at East Aurora. And somebody left the bathtub running, and it overflowed and went down in the lobby and everything. They threw us out of there. And oh yeah, we had a lot of fun. We really did. Baseball. Probably more stories in baseball than there would be any sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really, there's a lot of good times, a lot of fun and everything. But I tell you, my problem was that I was wild, and I didn't have anybody to really. I had a tough time growing up because I really didn't have a father.
Mm-hmm.
Not using that as an excuse or anything. But everything happened to me so fast. Then when I got there, I didn't know how to handle it.
Right.
I really didn't know how to handle it. And of course, I was wild, and everybody's trying to tell you what to do.
Right.
And a lot of them would say, "Hey, what the hell are you?" You know.
Right, right.
And people would say, "Well, you know, he's a cocky bastard." But everybody was trying to tell you what to do, and maybe you should listen to a few of them. But then, like I say, I threw too many pitches for my age.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And by the time I was, I went to service in 1950. Hell, I had already been in baseball 4 years. And I was only 20 years old, you know.
Yeah.
So, 17, 18, 19, 20. So then when I came back, I got married, and then I played around in the city with Fulford and Charlotte and all this stuff. You know, that bunch.
Why'd you come back to Jamestown?
Why? Well, because I had left Cincinnati, really.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing there really for me. And, I don't know, my wife was, well, I married my wife. She's from here. I don't know, I just thought I'd give it a shot, you know, and stay there. I like Jamestown. That's a good town.
So, just a few names I wrote down that might have some remembrances of Pat Haggerty.
Oh, yeah, Pat's a good... In fact, I stopped to see Pat. I took my boys when he umpired. I'm a diehard Cleveland Browns fan.
Okay.
And, probably 10 or 12 years ago, over 10, he refereed a Browns game at the stadium in Cleveland. And after the game, I took him down to the referee's dressing room, and he came out and we talked to him. Yeah, he was a hell of a hitter. Little guy, not very big. He could hit. He just met the ball. He didn't no power, just good. And he was a very smart ball player, good fielder, good hitter. Just met the ball. God, you see, he led the league. And there were some good players on that team there, and good pitchers, good everything. They had good. But that team there came in second to Lockport. Lockport won the pennant by I think 3 games. And but if you ever get a hold of that guide, that Spalding guide, I'd like to see it. I really would.
It would be for 1940s.
Well, I'd like to get it for 47 as the year I want it, and because this thing doesn't give you much. Like
I know where to get it because Lynn Benson down in Frewsburg has them all.
okay, here's the okay here other pictures. I thought that 47 was a hell of a year for me. Okay, so they give for 47 they only give pitchers records. They only give 10 guys. And I had to be I had, here with Lockport, 9 and 5. If you look at And I knew my ERA had to be below 3.5. I had a good year. My control was good that year.
All they had was your record, 9-5.
Yeah, 9-5, and I'd like to see the other stuff. How many hits, burning pitch.
Balding has it all.
Yeah.
I'll get that.
Yeah,
I'd
I'd like this. I'd really like to get that.
So then in 1948, you ended
48,
up in Jamestown.
yeah, and I heard, that's when I started, I've got leg trouble now. I got hurt in a game here where I picked up a ball going down the first baseline in the 9th inning. And when I went down, how the grass would get wet?
Yeah.
And that's when I was with Lockport.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked the ball up and threw the guy out, and I spent 10 days in the hospital here. And then the next year I had problems again, and 48 and 49, both years I had problems. I didn't finish out the year. Always had leg problems, and I still got them.
I'll give you a copy of this. Here's an article, first holdover Falcon Dave Werner is signed. Softball pitcher Dave Werner today became the first Falcon holdover to sign his 1949 contract.
Oh, is that right? I knew that. Huh.
And general manager Cedric Tallis, what was he like?
I didn't like him.
Yeah.
He was kind of a high-class. I think Tallis was. I don't know. I just never cared for him. And then the other guy that was here, he married Walter Briggs' niece. The other guy that was head of the Detroit farm system.
John McHale?
Yeah, Johnny McHale. He
Yeah.
married. Yeah, he was a pretty good ball player. But he married Walter Briggs something. And, but I never liked Tallis. I never did care for him.
Okay, here's what it says about you, Dave.
What?
All right. Werner came to the Falcons on June 14th, 1948, after cutting loose from the Reds, where it was reported his temperament had him in hot water with the head office. He had started one game and won it for the Reds, who went on to win the pennant and the playoffs that year. You say right? Your temperament?
Yeah, I was. I was always on it. I was always on it. Yeah. I was. No doubt about that.
Yeah. And let's see what else it says here.
I never.
He said 1948 with Jamestown, Falcon management had hoped there were highs, probably, and I guess she had a, largely due to a lame shoulder, which was unable to whip it into shape in 1948. So is that when you came down from Lockport? 48?
Yeah, evidently. Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, that's right.
And he said manager Marv Olson had secured Werner to strengthen his mound core for the stretch drive, which saw Jamestown fall 2 games shy of the Cubbies. So he must have come back in the middle of 49? Is that what? Did you start the season in 49?
Yeah, I was. I'll tell you the truth. I was in and out because of that or my leg, something like that. I can't remember. And like I say, I won the service in 50, so I screwed up the fair. I got some. But if you get the records, there's a Pony League record book there that's got 49.
Yeah.
What's 2 and 5?
Yeah.
48.
42 and 5, yeah.
2 and 5. So, one game I pitched, went down to, I think in 49, we went down to Olean, early in the year, whenever I was with the team, and I had pitched one game and been wild or something like that, and Frank Hyde was the, talk about getting pissed off. So, anyway, this guy that started for Jamestown, first inning, he gets a blister on his finger.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name was Andy Tessier. So I went in the game and I struck out 13 or 14 guys, and we won the game, like 3-2. And Frank Hyde wrote, Werner pitches miracle game, and I'm waiting for him the next day after this is written, and I jumped all over him when he get pissed off at me too for yelling at him. But miracle game. One game I get knocked out of the box, and you're saying I pitched a miracle game. So, but that's the way I was. I didn't like what somebody said, I'd tell them.
That's right.
So,
Now, your manager both years was Marv Olson, right? 48 and 49?
I think he was both years. Because he's long dead, isn't he?
You know, I don't think so. I think he's still
Really?
alive in South Dakota.
Really? I know that's where he's from. God, he'd have
Last
to
time we
be,
knew.
he'd be quite a guy. Well, I'll tell you how hard-assed he was. We're down at, I think it was Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I got a guy that'll tell you this, Bobby K. When you pitch batting practice, you pitch so many pitches,
Yeah.
and you'd be off, another guy come in. Well, when I threw my last pitch, and I can't remember what happened to it, I start walking off the mound towards the third baseline, and the catcher happens to throw the ball to second base, and hits me right here.
Oh.
I mean, right here. And all I remember is going down right there like a ton of bricks. I mean, that hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And I can remember. Let him lay there. He'll be all right. He'll be all right. Yeah. Yeah, you bet. He'll be all right. That was my own fault for it. The guy threw the ball and he hit me right here. I mean, Jesus. Right.
Unbelievable.
And I was the worst hitter ever. I was allowed. You know when I started hitting the ball? I was left-handed.
Yeah.
But I batted when I was a kid and everything. I batted right-handed, and the only thing I could bunt a little bit. It taught you had to be able to bunt. But then in later years, when I started playing in the city here, I turned around and started batting left-handed. I had a couple home runs,
Okay.
and one year we went down to, this is what Joe Nagel was
Mhm,
managing, Bob Freed on that bench. We went down to Clearfield,
Mhm.
one of those places. And this one year I'm pitching, I hit a home run. So it was like Wybernack was there and a whole bunch. So I was always cockier now. So the next year we're riding on the car. I said, hey, you guys, I think I'll hit one out of here today. They couldn't get out of that. Never had another home run about the fifth inning. I hit a home run.
Thank God.
These guys were running out of the dugout. They couldn't believe it. But I was a lousy hitter. Lousy. Terrible. And that helps you if you can hit.
Oh, yeah.
And another thing, when I threw hard, and you know, did you watch the series? You must have watched the series. Talk about how pitchers follow through, and some are at like Maddox and good fielding positions. The guys that throw hard are not because they follow through. Well, I got hit in the ass a lot of times by line drives. I did hit, you know, on the hips and that, because I'm always going across
Ball out
it.
the line,
Yeah. But I could catch the ball if I was in position to catch it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
too many. I had a pretty good move to first base. Picked a few guys off, but like I say, I was wild. And then by the time I did start getting control, then I didn't have the great fastball
Yeah, yeah.
anymore. And in those days, they didn't have guys show you the things. Christ, today they throw the splitter, spitter, whatever. You know, I mean, they got 20 million pitches today. That time we had a fastball, curveball, changeup. Basically, that was it. And the slider. But today, you know, they show you guys that are counting them, you know.
Yeah.
Guy throws 100 pitches, he's out of there. They're just, they watch him, you know, they take care of him. So,
What about Bill Furlong?
I remember Billy. He's from Salamanca.
He's still around.
I saw his picture one day in a paper. Boy, he's looked old.
Yeah.
He was down there, I guess.
Yeah, but was that, yeah.
Yeah.
With the stadium.
But, well, he came here in 49 or 50?
49, yeah,
49. I really don't remember that much about that year, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
I don't know that much about him. I know he was supposed to be a hell of a prospect.
Mhm.
And there was another guy at the same time from up around Buffalo that, another left-handed guy that got a big bonus that never amounted to anything either. I can't remember what that was, but anyway.
How much did you sign for? Did they give you a bonus?
$1,000.
$1,000? Is that kind of the norm, or is that?
Well, actually, like I say, if I had had any brains, I would have stayed in school 2 more years, and I could have probably got. That's when Kurt Simmons got 25,000 at that time. But hell, I would have played for nothing, and I did really. I didn't make that much. Most I ever made, I think, was $400 a month. Back in those days, that was a lot of money, you know. So.
Then from there, let's see, 49, you left the Falcons, you went into service.
In the service.
Korea?
Korea, yeah. And when I came back, I played with Marlon Rockwell and the Bombers and that. And we had some good. There were some good ball players here in Jamestown. There were some good players like Fulford, George Parsons, Kenny Martin.
Du Bois playing then?
Roger Du Bois was a damn good ball player, good shortstop, good ball player. Yeah.
Among those guys you saw, and you've asked the question of everybody who came and played a little bit with the Muni Leagues, who among the guys that you played here in Jamestown were really kind of major league prospects?
You know who I thought was really a major league prospect? Tommy Sharp.
Tommy Sharp?
I really did, and the thing was that I went with Tommy down to the stadium. I had a scout friend with, I think his name was Friesa with the Yankees, maybe it was a Cardinal. I can't remember, but Tommy Sharp goes to this camp. He played second base. He fielded perfectly. Had a hell of an arm. He hit a ball. He batted both ways. He hit a ball off the wall. He had another hit that hit the other way. He hit it right-handed. Hit the wall in one bounce, and the guy says he didn't like him because he was too small and he wore glasses. And if you ever saw Tommy Sharp, he got a hell of a build.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's built like. And I always talk to Tommy about that. Tommy could have won some. He could run like him, and he had the right attitude. I mean, he was good. Tommy was, and of course, Fulford was a good ball player. Jack was a good ball player. George Parsons was probably the toughest guy to get out of any of them. But Roger was a good hitter. Du Bois could play, and Kenny Martin was a good ball player. Those were probably the top ones. Of course, there's others, but I can't.
Yeah.
Those guys especially, they were all good ball. But this town, for the size of it, we had some good teams around. And it was a lot of fun, really.
Do you have any regrets other than the fact you wish you'd stayed in school a little bit longer? As far as
regrets about my own personal attitude, of course, and I wish I would have had better bringing up to where I could handle things better than I did. But those things happen when you do. No, it was a good. Glad I had the chance to do it. And I made a lot of friends from it. And then when I played, I had it made in the service from being a ball player. When I played I was in Korea, and I played basketball in Seoul when the guns were going off. I was a half-ass basketball player. I played with Joe Nuxall in Cincinnati in the winter, and we had a bunch of guys down there that played, that were in the Reds organization. But then when I came back, my wife and I got married, and we were stationed out in McCord, Washington, and I I coached and played on the Air Police basketball team, and I pitched on the baseball team. Never put on a uniform. Never. For a year, I never wore a uniform. Didn't have to.
Yeah.
Although that isn't right, but that's the way things are. Take advantage of it, right? People do it.
How did they know? I mean, beforehand, did you check the application that said, how did they know you were a ball
They
player?
knew. I think guys overseas played basketball, and that was more over there was just that you could play it, and they picked out the biggest. I was one at that time. It was big. Then when I got back to McCord, there were a couple guys that knew me and knew that I played baseball, and they wanted me to come out and do baseball. In fact, I pitched a perfect game out there. The only time I pitched a 7-inning perfect game. 21 putouts, 17 strikeouts, no walks, no errors, no nothing against College of Puget Sound. In fact, I don't know if I remember that. I'm trying to find that. But the only time in my life I ever pitched a game where I didn't walk anybody, much less a hitter. And my walks were like, I think in the Ohio State League, my first year, I could have been the leader in strikeouts, walks, and hit batters in 1946. I struck out a lot of guys. More strikeouts than innings pitched, and more walks than innings pitched, and maybe like 15 hit batters. So it was quite...
So like Ryan Duran.
Yeah. But, yeah, I was wild. I was fast and wild. That was a lot of fun.
I'd love to do. Could I keep that scrapbook and make a copies of that, and I'll get it to you, Dave?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, like I say, there's very little. You know, how much do you get into this guy with the? You know, I saw every once in a while they come up with games. I'd like to get a copy of that game with Corliss. They keep records of 1947, but well, 47, 48. But I had 2 games against Lockport. I'd like to. I beat Jamestown here, and then I lost a game there. Then a guy was telling me, you know, Lefty Spetz?
Yeah.
Lefty was telling me one night, he saw something in the paper so many years ago, he said, Dave Werner struck out 15. And I said, geez, I remember doing that, but I said, you don't even know who it was against. But I did always had always struck out a lot of guys. But like I say, I walked a few too.
Well, let me do this, David, because we did for the book itself. You know, I'll give you copies of this here, your picture.
Okay.
To see what we have, we didn't do all the games, but if we have those, anything that Dave Werner's screaming out at you, I'll make copies of it for you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and I will get that Spalding guide. I will track that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Because I know where that is, and that's a fairly simple thing to get to.
Okay, great. Yeah, I remember some of these guys. Irv Carlson. Did you know Irv?
I did not know
You
Irv.
didn't know. Irv was a hell of a fielder, but not much of a hitter.
When you were in Jamestown, Dave, where did you stay?
I lived on Faulkner Street the one year. I think both of them. 86 Faulkner Street, right up near, in fact, I went by there today. Just below Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Just on the other side, on the right-hand side, going down.
Did you
$7
stay with
a
someone?
week.
Is there-
No, yeah, I had a room, $7 a week. See, when you're at home, you pay all your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on the road, they give you like $3 a day meal money.
Is there-
But for $3, you could eat pretty good in those days.
Yeah.
You know, you'd do it.
Where did you guys hang out?
We ate at the Ritz a lot. Remember the Ritz?
Remember?
And there were a lot of places we hang out. And then if you lost, you'd hear about it. You know. And, I don't know.
Humidor, was that a spot?
Yeah, Humidor, and
Canal Carlson, is that a?
and then the guy had the sporting goods shop around there a little bit. You know, Collins, Louis Collins Sports Shop. It was on 3rd Street.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you go to movies, you go to the theater a lot, and Christ, we do a lot of things. But like I say, that's would be 50 years ago.
Yeah, right.
A long time.